Husky tree. 840.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it? Yep. Good to see you, sir.
Me too, brother. I had to represent.
I see that. That's awesome.
How you doing?
I was on there.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
I will say though,
Yeah, I didn't miss it. I saw it. From the Rapids. There you go.
Thought I saw Carla's name pop up.
pretty good, I think. Not sure.
That when you're talking, that make sure you write something.
I hope so. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, 'cause this was yours, wasn't it? You want your stuff?
No, I need to throw something. Okay. Will do.
Sir? Is it in here? I almost read it. Yeah, I know my stuff out here.
He's coming in.
Is everybody ready? Can you hear me in the back, Frank? Good. You can't hear me over here? I'm asking if they can hear me in the back on the back right, but on the middle left, they can't hear me. Can you hear me, John? Could we tune it up a little bit? The sound?
Don't talk loud enough. Yeah, TP. You're just gonna have to talk really loud. Just talk loud.
Okay. Yep. All right, thank you for coming tonight and to the Village of Dundee Board of Trustees regular meeting, February 16th, 18th, 2020. We'll start out tonight with a public hearing, a budget public hearing. Robin?
No, you have a roll call.
Doesn't,
I think we'll-
okay, we'll have the roll call first.
President Burdine,
Here.
Trustee Hickey,
Here.
Trustee Polito,
Here.
Trustee McClendon,
Here.
Trustee Reeves,
Here.
Trustee Horky,
Here.
Trustee Schroeder,
Here.
Manager Yule.
Proceed, Robin.
Okay, this is our once-a-year passage of our budget. Really not much has changed from our workshops. Remember that the law says we will have a budget in place. It's not a mandate to spend. It's just our best efforts at getting us close to where we want to be. This first one is a revenue history. We updated the fiscal in 2020 for what actually took place, and the green is where I'm estimating, and I'm really estimating because I was not, the only words I got was use rate of inflation. So that puts us at the 211.0. So we'll see. We won't know that until mid-May. Our millage rate that we are anticipating will remain the same. It very well could go down a little because of Headley. Again, won't know that until the county gets all the numbers from the township. But we're estimating it to stay where it was. And you can kind of see where we've been and where we are. This is a taxable value with a millage comparison. I think it's telling when you see where the line is in the center. Just another visual. I broke it down over the overall budget for all the funds, and that's just kind of a snapshot of where that is shaking out. And then the next one is the general fund by disbursement. It really didn't change much. Transfers are always, right up there because we have the capturing districts in there. The scheduled debt, our debt does go out further than this, but this is just kind of a snapshot of the upcoming years. This does not take into account the 3 that we talked about the last budget meeting, which won't happen until next year, May, this coming year, May, when our bond counsel gets back to me with the actual numbers as I gave them to you. The only one that we were unclear about was the oak plank because she's redoing it with the cash we have on hand so that we can pay off a portion of them. So this will look different next year in that hopefully those will be dropped off of here. Some of the planned street expenditures that we're going to do this year or that we budgeted to do are Ann Arbor Road. There's some joint repairs and such, some catch basin repair and some curb and gutter. Oak Street, they're going to crack fill, seal, and chip. And of course, regular maintenance that we always do, and emergency maintenance, and then traffic line painting, which the last I knew, Dave was going to try to do it in sections, so we haven't really gotten those yet, but it is budgeted under the maintenance portions as well. In the local street fund, we're going to do, or we're budgeted to do the Gulf Ridge subdivision. They think overband joints and microsurfacing. Viking Drive, they're going to chip and seal it. And then the Dundee Ridge subdivision, some overband and crack fill out there as well. And then regular maintenance and, again, traffic line painting. I'm sure whatever streets that we do, we'll have to have those. Plus, they want to do a portion of the town freshening up. Some of our planned capital expenditures that we talked about and that we budgeted were the brick repairs to the village office, which we have pushed for at least a year because they've been investigating why we're having the issue that we're having. Police vehicle, a new dump truck with a blade to replace one that's quite old, to the finishing of the DPW facility that they constructed last year, and they want to finish that out. Trading in the Polaris and purchasing a Kubota, we talked about and is budgeted. Sewer pipelining, every year we're trying to do more sewer pipelining in an effort to not have to replace entire pipes. It's by far cheaper. A grass hop mower and then a pickup with a plow ×2. So those are the big ones that we have in this budget this year. We also talked about our unfunded liability and our MERS, that we're going to try a 5-year plan to correct. And as requested, I've brought Sue from MERS to just briefly address that. They all good?
Yep.
So this is Sue Feinberg from MERS, and she'll give you a little recap.
And could, Sue, nice to see you again, and could you please explain what MERS is to the rest of the audience?
Yes, I feel rude with my back to you. MERS is a not-for-profit company that we administer. We administer public pension plans for governmental groups within the state, so cities, counties, villages. We administer pensions for over 800, and we are a not-for-profit company, and we are not part of the state. It was spun off from the state in 1996, so we are independent and governed by the elected board. So that's who we are, and we administer your defined benefit plan. So really what I'm here to talk to, am I loud enough? Are you guys good with me kind of doing it this way? Talk about with your defined benefit plan. Like Robin mentioned, you have a 5-year plan. The plan is currently 58% funded. The goal is to be 100% funded, and so you're working towards that. So basically that 58% funded means that there is a gap between having your plan fully funded and partially funded. That gap you are paying down. So how MERS bills the village is we bill you, it's 2 components, okay? We bill you the normal cost, and the normal cost is for all the actives in the plan earning 1 more year of service credit, and then that other piece is that amount of money between the 58 and the 100% funded. That piece you're paying down on an annual basis, and it's amortized like a mortgage. So currently it's at a 20-year amortization. With your next annual, it'll go down to 19. So that's going to continue to go down 1 year at a time, so that is driving your cost up, along with other fluctuations, you know, in the market, things that are out of your control. Assumption changes, we're lowering our rate of return assumptions, so there's things like that that are driving your cost up. But rest assured that if you do nothing else but make your minimum payments, you are on a path to bring your funding level up to 100%. Now, I understand concern by not being 100% because a few years ago the village was 100% funded, so I do just want to address that real quickly and let you know how that unfunded liability occurs. That unfunded liability is basically promises that were not paid for. So a few years ago there were things like we call them windows. So it gives employees opportunity to retire out earlier than they had been eligible to retire, an incentive to get people to retire. So what happens when they do that is that they're now going to be collecting a lot of times more and sooner than our actuaries have been making the assumptions for, because all these assumptions go in so that everybody's being pre-funded. When things like this occur and they're not pre-funded, what it does is it creates an unfunded liability because there's now a promise that's been made that has not been previously funded. So there were some choices made a few years ago, back in 2009 and 2010, that unfortunately did set the village back quite a bit. I just want you to rest assured that you are moving in the right direction. There is going to be volatility. There always, we can't predict the market. We try. Last year was a good year. We smooth things out, whether they're good, whether they're bad, for budgeting purposes. So you are moving in the right direction again. Would you like me to go any deeper? You know me, I could talk forever. I did that the other night.
Well,
Is there any other questions
Thank you.
to be asked?
I think it's important to talk about how much we're underfunded because not knowing the percentage of what doesn't really paint the full picture of how far we are underfunded. And as it relates to the budget, considering we're looking at paying quite a huge portion, I think it's important to talk about what that 58% is of.
The actual dollar amount?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what caused the underfunding too, if you could explain that?
I'm sorry.
If you could explain what caused the underfunding since 2009 or 10?
Okay. First of all, that gap between 58% funded and 100% funded as of the end of 2018, because these are the most recent numbers that we have, is right around 1.7 million. So that's that gap, okay? That unfunded liability is really the majority of what the village is paying. That makes up the bulk of your cost when you're paying this plan, is that unfunded liability. So the cost, just to give you an idea, okay, so when I talked about that normal cost and that unfunded liability, we've got those two components just to kind of bring it home and put it into real numbers. The normal cost of the employees is $10,980, roughly, okay? The other piece of your contribution, and this is on a monthly basis, is $138,864, okay, which is giving you what you're paying now, roughly right around $150,000. The majority of that is that gap. It's that unfunded liability that you're paying down. If you were 100% funded, your cost would be very low. So that, I know, was a frustration. To your point of how this happened when the village made some choices to increase people's benefit. So increase a multiplier, for example, and allowed employees to retire out earlier than they were eligible with a higher multiplier. Also, there was an employee that was able to buy into the defined benefit plan, which again was not a fully funded benefit. So immediately, those things cause unfunded liability because you've now promised more than you've paid for, because the way this works and the way our actuaries calculate what your contribution should be is they look at all your employees, they look at all their demographics, how old are they, when can they retire, what is the benefit, what are you reporting for wages. This is what this person's going to be able to collect when they are eligible to start collecting their benefit, so that we are billing you properly, so when they get there, you've already funded them, which is where you were at, because you were at 100% funded. You had been doing everything right. And then when you do things like this, now you've got people that are collecting right away that we were not anticipating were going to collect for a few more years, and we were also anticipating that they were going to be receiving a lower benefit. So now immediately all that prior service has also been undervalued, because with that higher multiplier applied to all their previous years of service too. So definitely a good incentive if you're trying to get someone to retire early, but if you don't pay for that liability that you've just created up front, it can kind of turn into a snowball. So those things happened. There was a few windows open for employees, and then you couple in 2008 when the market was down. The market itself was down 24%. We're smoothing that over a period of time. So you've got market volatility. You also have MERS, because we are your plan fiduciary, making changes to the plan, changes to the assumptions to make sure that the actuaries are using the best assumptions as far as, mortality. When are people going to start drawing their pension? Are they going to work past? Are they going to, retire right when they're eligible. There's all these demographic assumptions that are going in there too. And every 5 years, they do a extensive study and come back and make recommendations to our board if they think we need to change the plan. Obviously, things are constantly changing. For example, one of our big ones from our last 5-year experience study, not the most recent, was updating the mortality table. And we lowered the rate of return assumption. By doing that, that is nothing the village has control over as we're making these adjustments. So these two, your assets are not valued as much as they were before. So we're also making some changes that are out of the village's control. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
So a summary in layman's terms, back in 2009, the village council made decisions to open up a window and allow a person to receive service credit where they only worked 5 years but get a 30-year retirement. That decision back in 2009 has put us $1.7 million in the hole from the decisions that were made back in 2009 by the village council to allow that window open and to allow that village manager at the time to do that.
That was one piece of it. There were windows opened up for other employees too.
Correct.
But yes, allowing him to have all of his prior service now valued at a defined benefit plan when he'd been in a defined contribution plan, that did leave a gap, definitely.
And I believe he's the city manager now of Perrysburg? Maumee. Okay. Any other questions? No, thank you.
I did want to, where did Robin go?
She went in the office. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wanted to confirm that we were moving forward. It's hard to tell in the budget the way it's broke out because it always comes out of all the different funds. But I wanted to confirm what we're budgeting is for the $400,000 per year surplus. Is that your understanding?
Yes, what we talked about in the workshop, yes.
Okay. Now we're still at the budget public hearing. Is there any questions about the budget? This is a public hearing. Howard?
Howard, there is a sheet there, please sign it.
Okay.
It says for the budget workshop, sign the budget workshop one. There's 2 hearings there.
Okay, budget workshop, okay.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Okay. My question is, and probably Robin could answer it the most, when we were talking about the streets and the sewer and things that is budgeted for it, does do you know, or somebody know besides Robin, is this already budgeted in with the money the village has, or is this an added tax that would go on people's taxes?
It's budgeted.
It's budgeted
routine
for
maintenance.
that. So
yes.
the sewer repairs or some of the street, the crack and the filling and stuff is already budgeted in on the budget.
We're putting that into the budget, yes.
Okay, that was my question. I just wanted to ask. Okay, I didn't quite catch it all, so I
Sure.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions about tonight's public budget hearing?
Questions and comments.
Questions and comments, yes. Sorry. Any other questions and comments about tonight's budget public hearing from the audience? Hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on to the,
You have to close it, and I
We
have
have to
to
close
open up
it.
the second public hearing.
okay, let's close the public hearing and we'll start with, all
You have to make a motion to close.
right, I can't make the motion. Let's somebody make a motion to close.
I make a
tonight's
motion that we
pub-
close the budget public hearing.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close tonight's public budget hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now we go to the,
I have to change tapes.
yep. Now we'll open up the Parks and Recreation public hearing.
Roll call.
Roll call, please.
President Bodine,
Here.
Trustee Hickey,
Here.
Trustee Polito,
Here.
Trustee McClendon,
Here.
Trustee Reeves,
Here.
Trustee Harkey,
Here.
Trustee Schroeder,
Here.
Manager Yule.
Okay.
Good evening. You may remember me. I was here a little while ago. I think I was here in conjunction with the Parks and Recreation Master Plan last time. You have before you tonight proposals for 2 resolutions for 2 grant submittals. This is why I'm here tonight. And what we're looking at is resubmitting a park development grant proposal for Viking Park. It's very much like the one we submitted 2 years ago, except this time around we really honed in on the maximum amount of points we could possibly get for this park site. And we're also doing 2 grant proposals to maximize our chances. So the first one is for the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, and the second one is for the Recreation Passport Grant Program. Both of these grant programs are slightly different. One offers more money, and this is why the amounts are different from the 2 resolutions. Because the second one has less available monies, we had to reduce the scope. But both grant proposals are for the same park and for the same items, except one has less than the other. So I don't know if you want me to go in more details. I'm
yes,
certainly,
please.
if you have questions, I'm here to answer.
Anybody got any questions up here? You could go into a little more detail on this. These grants are based on sometimes towns or villages less than 10,000 or 20,000. We may stand more of a chance.
There are several criterias, there's too many to really.
Yeah, I understand.
But yeah, there are certain criterias that there's nothing we can do. It's based on your median household income and where you fall in comparison with others. The major takeaway that I'd like you to keep from this is that really our chances are dependent on who else applies in the year that we apply, because it's a matter of how there's a certain amount that's available, and they're obviously try to be equitable and try to spread it around. However, there's only a certain amount of money that's available, and depending on how many applications they get, we'll see. A success rate on the Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund last year was 46%. But they give a lot of money, so we're going to hope we're the lucky ones.
And if I may.
Yes, you may.
Some of the differences between the 2018 grant application and this grant application, the path is wider. It's going to be a 10-foot wide path. I believe we were suggesting 6 to 8 foot previously. That's to make it more accessible for two-way traffic as well as wheelchairs, things like that. There's also a rain garden in the proposed plan for this particular application. The rain garden is what we hope to be our collaboration with another organization. Hopefully the school, if not the school, there's other organizations within the town to make this a collaborative effort. Another thing that is missing from this grant application that was in the last grant application is we did take the playscape out. The reason we took the playscape out is because it's really hard to get accessibility points in a grant application with the play structure. And honestly, with the wider path and also trying to put in the 2 gazebos, one at each end, it does take the cost up considerably for the total cost of the park. So we kind of had to look at this and decide what would we want to do for phase 1. So we're really just calling this grant application phase 1 for this park. We're hoping that over the years we're going to add to it several different phases, from now and maybe over the course of 10 years. But right now, we know that in order to get this park started, this is what we would need for the first phase.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? No. Andrea's on the Recreation Committee. Is there anybody in the audience that has anything to say about the Parks and Recs?
There is a sheet there. Please sign your name on the appropriate sheet. Thank you.
My name is Stephen Scott. I'm the acting chair member for the Parks and Recs Committee. I'm coming here just asking that you guys would please consider the approval of the grant process. As the committee, we spend many hours gathering information from the villagers and trying to see what they wanted, and we feel that this is something that would greatly benefit the community. So again, I just ask that you would consider granting this for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to recognize the people that have worked on the commission, we actually, there in the back, have, it looks like we have 4 members out there, Stephen, Pat, Dustin, and Peter, that are all from the Parks and Rec Commission that worked hard on this grant through this process, as well as our master plan.
Dave, I believe you were standing up. Can everybody still hear us fairly well? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm curious, before this park gets started, is anybody checking to make sure who owns what property it's on? Because the last 2 that were built in this town obviously didn't do their due diligence to make sure that they were building on their own property.
So that's actually part of the grant process, is we do have the title deeds. Fred actually has to sign off showing that we have the title deeds, and I have them here in this envelope. And that the Michigan DNR does not let you do anything unless you have a clear deed to the property. And that was the railroad property, and they did deed the property to us. So we do have that in hand, but great question.
Yeah, because like I said, the last 2 parks that were built were both built on somebody else's property, and the situation's still hanging out there. I'm just wondering how far down the rabbit hole we want to go before we start clearing up and making sure that we're doing the appropriate thing.
Yeah, and I'm not aware of the situations you've mentioned, but definitely if it's something that is still ongoing, we can definitely look into it.
How can you not be aware of them? They've talked about them in several meetings. Bricktown's property was tore down, and a park was put on his, and Tom's Auto Body Shop had a park put on his property.
The green spaces. Okay, sir. I thought you were maybe talking about Reggie's or West Side or one of the actual parks, not the green spaces, but I understand now.
No, the areas with the picnic benches and the bands and the food wagons and, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Thank.
I believe that was placed on, we have title to both of those parcels. Just as a response, there is no issue with regards to the park here, on the corner up here.
Yeah.
And we have an easement that should have been recorded, but it has been recorded since relative to that, so.
So we didn't have the easement put on in time when
We
they.
had the easement, it just, they failed to record it, which has now been recorded.
It was notarized and all of that. It just also further gets recorded at the Monroe County deeds, Register of Deeds.
So we ran down after we did the park or the green
No.
space?
Nope, it was actually.
We had it beforehand.
It was.
just was not recorded
Yep.
with the county.
That's what I'm saying. We ran down and recorded it after the green space was built.
But the easement existed. We had an easement. It just
Okay,
was not
well, this will all be settled out shortly, I get that. I don't have a problem with that. But I just want to make sure that the new stuff we're doing, we've got somebody in charge that is going to make sure that we're doing the appropriate thing.
100%. The DNR makes us sign those papers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Fred, I do have a question about this. So the Viking Park, since we have the deed and everything, then we're responsible, or has all the brownfield, has it been cleaned up properly?
Viking Park, which one's Viking
The one by the school?
We have the, Lucy, did you want to speak to that piece?
As part of the grant submittal, there's an environmental portion that needs to be filled out, and there's an environmental assessment that will need to be submitted. And in order to even receive grant monies, you need to provide satisfaction to the DNR that the recreation use is going to be a safe one on the property. So there you have it. We will make sure that that occurs.
Okay, thank you. Are there, yep, please come forward.
Good evening. I'm Dustin Dable. I'm the vice chair for the Parks and Rec Committee with Stephen, Andrea, everyone else. I just wanted to come up and advocate a little bit as well. Lucy's done a phenomenal job for us, organizing a lot, getting everything together, making sure that we're appropriately getting the village engaged, and making sure that what we're proposing to you is accurate representation of what they want. We think the Viking Park is going to better incorporate the middle of the village. It's going to give better accessibility to kids going to and from school. And you look at some of the other things, like the parades and stuff like that we host, where we have limited parking. We're also proposing a parking structure there, and then we got the big path that kind of leads up to the bank and allows people to have more accessible parking and safer ways to get to and from as well. So, and with it just being phase one, we think it can be kind of a big picture in our Keystone Park to the community. If you guys just give it your graces and kind of get it off the ground, we'll continue to pursue it and make sure that it's one of the best that we have to offer.
And how long will, we're in phase one, how long will all these phases take?
Well, we're going to continue through it as we continue to try and pursue grants and see what's available via grant and what we're going to have to pursue as a village, right? We can't guarantee it's going to be done quickly. It might take 3 years, 5. We'll see how quickly we can get funding and continue to get grants. But if we get it off the ground, what we're going to do with phase one is still going to be usable. We're going to have the parking structure. We're going to have the multi-use path, which is going to be usable for everybody in the village. That multi-use path, everybody from our youth to our senior citizens can access that, use it to go to and from school functions, stuff like that. And then we continue to build upon that. But we'll have a functional access piece from phase one.
And thank you. You explained that very well, and I think you're doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Dustin.
Are there any more Parks and Recreation comments? Pat?
Might as well join the fray. I'm Pat Riegel from Parks and Recreation as well, and just want to say again what a great job Lucy has done, and all of the board members actually. And we do want to build on everything that Andrea said, reach out to the community as we go along, get their input to see what else is going to be needed in future years as more funds become available. And as Dustin stated, it does kind of connect the village a little bit. It's going to be, pretty close to the downtown area and then extends back to the school. So it's going to have a wide range of accessibility to people. And not to say that we're not going to have more things in the village for the youth coming up. I mean, right now we really don't have things. There's no movie, there's no bowling, there's no skating or anything like that. But a park is a good start to see where we want to go with things and build on that and continue. So we appreciate your support on this and get things off the ground.
And Pat, one more thing. How long have you been on the Parks and Recreation?
Andrew and I both pretty much since it reorganized back in 2010,
Okay.
something like that. So we've been kind of sticking with it after. So I was kind of a overflow with council, and then I got off council, and Andrea got on council, and so we're kind of keeping it running.
All right.
But thank you.
Yep,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments and questions, concerns about?
Good evening. My name is Peter Kepler. I'm on the Parks and Recreation Board as well. One of the new members, new to the community, and I want to focus, first of all, the Viking Park project is going to be a beautiful addition to the village just because it's in the center of town and it's unused space. So I would like the council to approve the wonderful work that Lucy has done on the project. And second of all, I just want to speak to the parks in general. When my family were looking to move out of the Toledo area, we were looking north and looked at many villages in the area. And one of the things that brought us to Dundee was the cleanliness, the availability of parks and recreation spaces and public spaces in a small town of this size. So it is a good thing to consider that when we want to bring industry and we want to bring new people in, that it's definitely a selling point for the village. So don't discount that.
And
That's the council's vote. Thank you.
May I ask you a question?
Certainly, sir.
What park is your favorite, you and your family?
I have a hard time. I do like Ford Park, just because of the history behind it. If you've ever taken I've been recently been reading a lot about Henry Ford personally and his village craft projects, which it's a whole history. But it's just wonderful to go down there. You know, Henry Ford believed in doing small things in every little town. And we moved away from that to the big corporations, and now we're moving back to the small part supplier. This small town builds this, the small town builds that. We've come full circle. And I just love going down there, the history of it, the time down there. I just think that, Henry Ford sat there and contemplated things. And we've talked about this in meetings and things I've read. He used to come down here just to visit the town because he liked it. So it's probably my favorite.
Appreciate your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else tonight on the Parks and Recreation public hearing? Well, hearing none and seeing none, we'll close the Parks and Rec public hearing. Thank you again for coming to tonight's meeting. Now we will open up the...
We had to vote on the other, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. We have to vote on
I'd like
the
to make a
Parks and Rec
motion.
public motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn out of the public hearing for Parks and Rec.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Now we'll go to the regular meeting. Thank you for attending tonight. Could I have the roll call, please?
President Burdine,
Here.
Trustee Hickey,
Here.
Trustee Polito,
Here.
Trustee McClendon,
Here.
Trustee Reeves,
Here.
Trustee Horky,
Here.
Trustee Schroeder,
Here.
Manager
Could everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion, we approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. A motion would be in order to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, February 4th, 2020, and the budget workshop, February 12th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the regular meeting minutes of February 4th and the budget workshop of February 12th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now we go to 6, petitions and communications. And Shirley, would you please read the citizens' comments on agenda items?
Public comments is provided at both the beginning and at the end of the board meeting. The purpose of the public comment is to provide an opportunity for a member of the public to speak. The role of the board is to listen attentively and we thank you in advance for sharing your thoughts and ideas. All members of the public that speak during public comment will need to state their name and address. We have designated up to 4 minutes per person for each topic presented. The board role is to listen and to the care and concerns of the community. The manager or designee will follow up the concerns and comments as soon as possible. Please contact the village manager's office if you have any additional questions. Thank you.
So now, do we have any citizens tonight that have any questions or concerns about tonight's agenda? Anybody have any questions about tonight's agenda or concerns? Hearing none and seeing none, we need a motion to place the petitions and communications on file. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to place tonight's petitions and communications placed on file. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we go to the legal update. Fred, do you have anything to say?
No, we're up to snuff.
We don't have any outstanding lawsuits.
No, sir, we got no lawsuits. We're clean and not any problems.
Okay. Next, we have the consent agenda, which we will need a motion for the payment of bills of $194,468.23. Also, the member status for the following boards. Shirley, would you like to read the member status for the following boards?
Excuse me.
You skipped a bunch there.
Some of them are already here tonight, but I'll have Shirley read them.
Okay, and you're going to have to excuse me because some of the pronunciations of some of the names may be difficult. Oh, okay. Planning Commission, renew Dale Williams, term to expire 2/28/2023. Renew Steve Wilcox, term to expire 2/28/2023. Positions open, none. Zoning Board of Appeals, renew Frank, I never can pronounce his name, Chanowski, term to expire 2/28/2023. Rachel Scheich, term to expire 2/28/2023. Renew Luke Lazario, term to expire 2/28/2023. Positions open, 0. Parks and Recreation Board, renew Peter Kepler, term to expire 2/28/2023. Appointed Jeannie Richards, term to expire 2/28/2023. Resigned Belinda Thompson and Abby Koschke. Open position 1. Downtown Development Authority, renew Charles Booth, term to expire 2/28/2024. Janice Redden, term to expire 2/28/2024. Positions open, 4. Downtown Housing Commission, Dundee Housing Commission, appointment Lindsay King, term to expire 2/28/2025. Position open, 0. Construction Board of Appeals, appointed Kevin Wilkes, term to expire 2/28/2022. Renew Roger Stewart, term to expire 2/28/2022. Open position, 0. Economic Development Board, renew Chad Waterstrat, term to expire 2/28/2016. Renew Gary Dahl, term to expire 2/28/2016. Renew Terry Massengill, term to expire 2/28/2016. Local Development Finance Authority, renew Linda Suntag, term to expire 2/28/2024. Renew David Huffman, term to expire 2/28/2024. Renew August Ost, term to expire 2/28/2024. Open position 1. Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, renew Stacy Skanowski, term to expire 2/28/2023. Renew Nick LaPence, term to expire 2/28/2023. Appoint Todd Brown, term to expire 2/28/2021. Open position 4.
Thank you very much. And now we go to C, the 2020 Mayfly Music Festival sponsorship. This is a summary of the yearly the village contributes to the Mayfly Festival by providing services. The village is prohibited from making cash donations. Therefore, the village typically supports the festival with police services, porta-johns, and DPW services. The police VIPs also donate their time to assist the police tent, which hands out Say No to Drugs novelty items. The police are also provide child identification services. This item is for us to decide up here, and we need a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's?
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and supported that we accept tonight's consent agenda. All in favor?
No, roll call.
Roll call, please.
It was moved by Trustee Schroeder, supported by Trustee McClendon, to accept the consent agenda as presented and placed on file. Trustee Polito?
Yes.
Trustee McClendon?
Yes.
Trustee Reeves?
Yes.
Trustee Horky?
Yes.
Trustee Schroeder?
Yes.
Trustee Hickey?
Yes.
President Badine?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Okay. Now we're into new business. Resolution number 2020-05, appropriation measures for fiscal year 2020-21. Do I have a motion to support resolution number 2020-05?
I move to support Resolution 2020-05 for the approval of the 2020-2021 budget.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to support resolution number 2020-05. Are there any questions? Well, I think I said no at the workshop, and I'm going to continue to say no. But we'll move on with the meeting tonight. So let's say we have the motion and there's no other discussion. Let's have a roll call vote.
It was moved by Trustee Polito, supported by Trustee Reeves, to adopt Resolution 2020-05, a resolution to approve the appropriations measure for fiscal year 2020-2021. Trustee McClendon?
Yes.
Trustee Reeves?
Yes.
Trustee Horky?
Yes.
Trustee Schroeder?
Yes.
Trustee Hickey?
Yes.
Trustee Polito?
Yes.
President Badine?
No.
Motion's carried.
Next, we go to item 9B under new business, the Monroe County Business Development Corporation Service Agreement. Is there a motion to accept tonight's Monroe County Business Development Corporation Service Agreement that we have in front of us?
Before we do, I just want to ask a question about the way it was written, Dave. I noticed in point 4, it says, for as long as such funds are available in the discretion of the village's trustees, the village agrees to pay $5,000 to the BDC on an annual basis commencing April 15th, 2020 for a total consideration of, I'm guessing that was also supposed to say 5,000 annually? Because it says, okay. Because it says 5,00, and okay. So there's a typo. So I would like I'd like to make a motion to approve this, addressing the typo in point 4 on the agreement.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to support the Monroe County Business Development Corporation Service Agreement. Dave, would you like to explain this a little bit to the public on, is this a company that Tim Lake owns, or?
No, it doesn't own it. This is Tim Lake is the director of it, is the board of directors, and they help us with our business development, have for years.
And is there any other discussion on this, since there's been a motion on the floor and seconded? Well, I think we can do the business development. I think that more or less would be the manager's job rather than the CEO and president of this development. That's just my opinion. And I guess we're going to have a roll call vote now since there's no discussion.
Well, to speak to that, that's part of us working together with the county, with the Business Development Corp. When there's a business that wants to develop in the county, they come to a person such as Tim Lake at the BDC, and they say, you know, we want to develop, what are good sites, what are good places for me to do this? And so this is just an extension of agreement that we have with the BDC to help us when they know that we're looking for this business or that business to come to town. They help fit that business with us. So, or, you know, whatever it is that's coming in terms of development. So it's more than just the manager. We have to work with others. If we don't work outside of Dundee, we're not going to see the bigger picture here, and we don't necessarily have that network. We can't expect Dave to have the network that Tim has in the development world. So I'm not sure that you...
Okay. I'm just giving my opinion on it, and I just have a difference of opinion. And I believe that the development and the people or businesses coming in will come into Dundee for the same reason that we live here, because it's the best place and its location. That's just my opinion. Is there any other discussion on this? Okay, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
It was moved by Trustee Hickey, supported by Trustee McClendon, to approve the Monroe County Business Development Corporation Service Agreement for 2020 in the amount not to exceed $5,000, with a correction to item .04. .4. Okay, very good. Excuse me. Trustee Reeves?
Yes.
Trustee Horky?
Yes.
Trustee Schroeder?
Yes.
Trustee Hickey?
Yes.
Trustee Polito?
Yes.
Trustee McClendon?
Yes.
President Verdine?
No.
Motion's carried.
Now we go to new business number 9C. Resolution number 2020-06. This is for what we talked about earlier here, the Recreation Passport Program resolution of authorization. Is there a motion on the floor is needed to accept resolution number 2020-06, Recreation Passport Program?
I move to accept resolution number 2020-06 for Parks and Rec.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept resolution number 2020-06 for the Recreation Passport Program. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Just be it noted that this is specifically for the participation and submission of the Recreation Passport Grant. There will be two in front of you, this one and then the next one. This one's specifically for the Recreation Passport.
Okay. Any other questions? Discussion? No. Hearing none and seeing none, let's have a roll call vote, please.
It was moved by Trustee Polito, supported by Trustee Reeves, to adopt Resolution 2020-06, a resolution authorizing participation and submission of a Michigan Department of Natural Resources Recreation Passport Grant Program application. Trustee Horky?
Yes.
Trustee Schroeder?
Yes.
Trustee Hickey?
Yes.
Trustee Polito?
Yes.
Trustee McClendon?
Yes.
Trustee Reeves?
Yes.
President Badine?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Now we come to new business 9D, resolution number 2020-07, Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund resolution of authorization. Is there a motion to accept resolution number 2020-07?
I'll make the
motion to accept resolution 2020-7 Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund resolution of authorization.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept resolution number 2020-07. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call, please.
It was moved by trustee McClendon and supported by trustee Polito to adopt resolution 2020-07, a resolution authorizing participation and submission of a Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund application. Trustee Schroeder,
Yes.
trustee Hickey,
Yes.
trustee Polito,
Yes.
trustee McClendon,
Yes.
trustee Reeves,
Yes.
trustee Horky,
Yes.
President Bedine.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
There is no new business tonight, and the number 11 is upcoming training opportunities. This will be a 2020 municipal conference, Wednesday, March 25th at 6 to 8 p.m. Know Before You Grow. It's about marijuana regulation in your community. I urge everybody to attend.
Tim, would you, it's over at the banquet hall is where it's being held. It's
Okay.
not listed on here.
Thank you. It'll be at the Old Mill Banquet Hall, and I urge everybody to attend. March 25th, 2020, 6 to 8 p.m. Know Before You Grow. Next, we have citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Are there any citizens that have comments on non-agenda items? Mr. Tisdale?
When do you start the clock?
When you start talking.
About when, after you get ready to talk and sign in and everything else.
Okay. I want to be sure I covered right this time. This is Larry Brossing at 411 Dunham Street. First off, I'd like to thank you for the work and the ideas that you put in. Some of the decisions that you make are easier than others. Some require additional work and thought. You gain the experience in handling different items. Will Rogers once said, "Experience is a bad teacher, gives tests first and lessons afterwards." There are still many questions concerning clean tech. I know you are not out to destroy our neighborhood. This particularly time around clean tech is what I'm talking about. However, the decision you made will affect the surrounding area for years to come. You see the traffic problem, you know that'll become a bigger problem in the future. What you haven't seen is the smell, the noise, and the residents' rights to enjoy their property when the warm weather comes. Open your windows up over there. You have to keep them shut if the wind's blowing in the right direction. It depends on which way the wind is blowing. Clean tech isn't one of the most desirable industries in your community. You can look that up and you can find out for yourself. What the present council, who presented the council with the idea of an abatement? Is it 50% for 15 years to promote clean tech? What's the reason behind this? Can this be put back on the agenda? A complete review of this should be done. You know, there's many things that you could have done with the abatement. You can postpone it right now and put it on the book. And if clean tech would comply with all the regulations that they should be competing with, give it back to them in 15 years. Collect it now. You can do that, you know. I don't know where you people are. What you ought to do is the council ought to plan a spring picnic. Have it over there in Clean Tech's yard. Bring your families, bring your friends. Have it over there in Clean Tech's yard, but make sure the wind's blowing out of the east. Make sure the wind's blowing out of the east. The smell will be there. It's there. It's been there right along. Every time I get a northeast wind blowing in my house, I can smell it. I asked one of your members if she could smell it. No, she never was outside. I've talked to 3 of you people that have concern with the decision that you've made. And I think that you ought to go back and review it again. Put it on your agenda, and let's let the people of Dundee know what this is all about. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Larry. That was very well done. Mr. Tisdale, I believe you wanted to speak.
I mean, that's the next best looking person. No, that's scary. Good evening. My name is Logan Tisdale. I'm up here tonight to introduce myself to you. I'm running for sheriff in Monroe County in 2020. I'm running as a Republican, but I believe the sheriff's department needs to be nonpartisan, just like the judges should be. So if I'm elected, that's exactly where I'm going to operate. I was a state trooper for 23 years. We were non-political. We treated everybody the same, and that's my mentality if I become the sheriff. This came on to me all of a sudden. It wasn't something I had planned on. If you'd have told me a year ago that I had an opportunity to run for sheriff, I wouldn't have believed you. But somehow God opened the door, and here I am. And I'm going to step through that door in faith. I'm a Christian first and foremost. My best qualification is I'm a Christian. I'm an ordained minister. I have credentials through the Independent Assemblies of God International. I've been ordained for 20 years. I graduated from North Central University with a degree in Bible. I graduated from International Seminary with a degree in practical theology. Was a state trooper for 23 years, stationed at Bridgeport, Niles, and then here at Erie. I retired as a detective sergeant in 1991. My wife works for the state. She worked there for 40 years at the Department of Human Services as a PS worker. We've lived in this county since 1982. I think Dundee's a nice place to live. I lived in New York most of my life. I never saw grass until I went to Ebbets Field. So to see grass around here is really nice for me. So when I see parks, it really is encouraging. The officer of sheriff is one of the most important elected officials in a county. He is the county police for the whole county of Monroe. That means he has jurisdiction everywhere. I was a state trooper. I had jurisdiction everywhere. That was really nice, I'll tell you that. And even though Dundee is a small community, the sheriff's department ought to be seen up here just like it is in Bedford. Bedford Township gets a lot of interest because of the population down there. Frenchtown does the same because they have contract officers. The problem is that's where they concentrate most of their time. They need to be seen everywhere. One of the things I bring to the table is the fact that I have instant credibility with every police agency in the country. I don't think there's anybody that's running for this office can say that. But I can say it with confidence, not because Logan Tisdale is a great police officer, but because I belong to one of the finest police agencies in the United States, and that's the Michigan State Police. Everywhere I traveled when I was a detective, I had instant prestige because I was part of the Michigan State Police. And that's what I bring, because you know what? That's what that office requires, credibility and character. That's what I bring. I bring because I'm a Christian first and foremost. That's what I bring. I bring righteousness to that office, and that's what it needs. And especially in this time, that we need people that are going to stand up for truth and righteousness and credibility. Those are the things that we need as a sheriff. I may not know everything about the sheriff's department, but I'm going to learn. That's why you have good people in there, and you find out who they are, and you put them to work for you. And I believe I can do that. The sheriff's department is an important part of this community, and it has to have credibility with every other agency. It has to have working relationships with other agencies, and those I think have been fractured over the years that I've been down there. That's going to change immediately, instantaneously. That will change. Erie Township, Monroe City, Milan, Dundee, those will all change. Carlton, those will all change overnight and instantaneously if I'm elected. Because that's the first thing I'm going to do is start getting those things back together so that police agencies are not in competition with one another but work together. That's what police work's about. It doesn't matter whether a crime is solved by somebody wearing a brown shirt or a blue shirt. The whole idea is to protect the public. That's what I swore to do 52 years ago. I can't believe it was that long, 52 years. I have to take a step back here. 52 years ago, I swore an oath to protect the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Michigan. I'm going to do the same thing, hopefully, in 2020. But I need your support. I don't want your money. Keep your money. That'll at least get you to look on one side of the thing there. What I'm looking for is your endorsement. I'm looking for you to endorse me by your vote. I don't even care if you give me a verbal one. In fact, I don't even want your verbal endorsement. I want your vote in 2020. That's what I want. I know I'm going to do a good job, and that's my only thing I'm going to promise is that I'm going to do my best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good luck. Is there any other citizens' comments? Howard?
Shirley, do I got to sign any of this here?
Just give me your-
that
your
was just
name-
on the
just your
first
name
two.
and
Okay.
address. Just name and address.
Howard Silly, 500 Roosevelt Street. First of all, I think this officer did a great job, and I thank you for your service. And second of all, I'd like to give a shout to Todd Ott, because the guy comes over, he parks his tractor at my salvage yard, and I let him plug it in, and he tells me, go ahead and use it. If anybody in this town deserves a raise, it would be that man. And he's truly a friend, and he's a great asset to this town, and I'd hope people recognize him. And my next thing is, I still like to talk about this $800,000 Roosevelt Street thing, because every one of you sitting up there live on a paved street. You all have sewers. That was all a given when you moved in. It was there. My street is 83 years old. It doesn't have either one of them. And I've been there for 33 years, and it's just been put on the burner. And I listen what goes on up here, $5,000 here, $5,000 there, but it's Roosevelt Street gets shoved off to the side. It should have been something that was done a long time ago. But how would you people like it if somebody came in and took your paved road away and took your sewer away? And then you also had to provide the village a spot to keep their millings so they could maintain the road for you a little bit when they feel like it. This thing says liberty and justice for all. I don't think the people on Roosevelt Street are getting very good justice. This thing of trying to charge us $800,000, it ain't gonna fly. We're not gonna pay that. If anything, the village should write us all a check for all the years we've went without it. You know, I mean, it's unfair. You people all have that. Why is it? Maybe some of you don't like me. That's fine and dandy. But think about the other people on Roosevelt Street. And your friend, whoever she was, that stopped me right here, she says, I didn't like what you said about the statues. I said, well, I live on a street that's not paved and doesn't have city sewer. She goes, I don't live on your street. I don't care about your street. I said, well, I've spent $900,000 on that street trying to make a difference. Take one street and provide something and make a difference. She says, I don't care. Is that all your people's answer too? You don't care? You don't care about the taxpayer? Your money that you get every week here? Mine, if I was up there, would go to charity. So we're looking at you people. I want you to talk this over and say, hey, why isn't the residents on Roosevelt Street entitled to what all of you are? Oak Street, your street, your street, your street. You all have it. Why a village street? And in this village rule book, it says it's supposed to provide that to the people, but it doesn't. It keeps getting ignored, keeps pushed off to the side, but you want us to pay $800,000 for something that we've already been paying for? We've paid it for years and years and years. My taxes aren't any cheaper than your guys's. Mine are about $17,000 a year. My insurance, everything, nothing goes up. I mean, nothing happens. The best thing that happened is thank you, Shirley, and thank Vaughn, because without you two, we'd have never had streetlights on that street. You people did your job. You looked out for the people on Roosevelt Street, and my heart goes out to you and Vaughn for doing that. Now, I'm asking you people up here to sit down, and you can talk to this guy and say, hey, wait a minute. We're not going to charge $800,000 to these people. They deserve better than that. They've paid their taxes. I took a street that was nothing but basically a dump, and I spent all my money on it trying to make a difference. Would you at least talk it over and see if you could make a difference in a decision of $800,000 to people that have already paid for years and years and haven't had what you have?
Thank you, Howard. Thank you. Mr.
Steven
Scott.
Scott, 691 Red Fox Trail. I'm coming today to ask that you guys would consider the approval of a part-time Parks and Rec staff member. I know many surrounding communities have paid staff members on their departments. I think it's a need for us. I know Andrea and myself are overloaded with many calls and emails, and everybody on our committee works full-time. We all have our regular jobs and then have to answer all these calls and emails. I get several complaints from many people that I didn't respond in a timely fashion because I believe that I'm paid and I'm getting paid through the village to be on this committee. They don't understand that I'm just a volunteer and I'm doing it on my time because I enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or concerns, comments about non-agenda items tonight? Dave?
I have nothing, thank you.
Dave Federley.
There's more than one Dave in the world. I know this one kind of revolves around you, but yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I talk often.
Chief Garbo, please let.
It's Fred.
Fred, talk, please. What was that you said, Fred? I'm sorry.
I just said comments are to be directed to the board.
Yep.
It's not an opportunity for, that sort of conversation at this time.
Thank you.
Comments you have, well, make the comments.
That's what I was doing before you interrupted me.
Let's just carry on. I'll give you 4 minutes, 1 second. Go ahead, Dave, do your best.
You know, I talk regularly the last 6, 7 meetings about getting along, looking out for the little guy, taking care of stuff. This is the type of bullying behavior that goes on. People can't even be reasonable, okay? Quite frankly, anybody that was paying attention seen Tim just identify me in the audience, so, if somebody else spoke up, they obviously weren't paying attention. This village is getting ridiculous. I mean, Mr. Schroeder, you're one that, I hear that because we all go to Applebee's and have a dinner, we're all a bunch of cronies now. You're in the education department. You should be the last guy that uses bullying techniques anywhere. This village needs to get together, pay attention to the small guy as much as they pay attention to the big guy. Stop the bullying, stop the harassment, stop the games, and do what it takes for our community to come together and become a better community for each other.
Thank you, Dave.
I agree.
Are there any other citizens' comments or concerns of non-agenda items tonight? Hearing none and seeing none, we'll go to village manager comments. Now we'll go to staff reports. Is there anybody from the staff that would like to report anything tonight? Chief Garbo.
Just a couple things. First of all, a shout out to Sergeant Sale and Sergeant Olet for the last meeting. They gave the VIPS reports and reserves reports. I want to thank them for that. Also, I want to congratulate Officer Jepson on the Municipal Officer of the Year award. He was awarded that. We had February 13th. We had a luncheon, and him and his family were there. So I want to say congratulations and kudos to him. And yes. He was awarded a plaque. We have a plaque in the office with his name on it that will stay here for a year before it goes back. So kudos to him. And then, as always, please contact the village office if you have any questions regarding your police department or what's going on within the department. Just a reminder, as always, do not be prodded to come to council to talk about something you may not know without all the facts. Knowledge is power, and I'm happy to share anything that we're doing at your police department. We're doing a lot of positive things, and will not stop doing good for this community of Dundee. Thank you.
All right. Council member comments is next. Shirley, I'll let you start off. Is there anything from the old mill or historical?
Yes, the old mill has a lot of activities coming up for the public. One of the recent one coming up will be on March 12th, 13th, and the 14th. We're partnering with the Monroe County Community Players. They're doing a dinner theater. It's going to be a mystery dinner theater. It will be interaction with the public. The tickets will be going on sale this week, so either visit our website or the Monroe County Community Players. It's going to be a fun evening for the. It's going to be take place in an Irish pub, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, we will be doing an Easter egg hunt with the children in the community again this year. It's always a big event for the kids, so we'll be doing that also. So those are some of the things that's going to be going on. We're also going to be partnering with the Monroe County Museum and the Commission, and we're going to be doing a County History Day. And actually, it's going to be more than one day. It's going to be 2 days. All the schools within the county are going to be given the opportunity to come to historical sites within the county. Each of the schools will be, each of the sites will have 4 schools come in that day. So we'll be doing it in 2 days. That's going to be in the fall of the year. So we've got lots of activities coming up, and so we hope people be encouraged to come over and visit us during the various activities. So please look at the website, the villages, and also the museum website.
Thank you. Andrea, you're next.
Well, you know, I'm up here and I find it ironic that we're being told not to bully, we're being told to be nice, we're being told all of these things. What I find interesting is I was specifically pointed out. When you specifically point someone out, that is a form of bullying. That's insinuating that I say something, that's insinuating that I feel something, that I know someone, that maybe I do, maybe I don't. But the thing is the person whom I think you're speaking of, and I'm sorry to point you out, Ms. Cross, but I believe it's Ms. Cross, and I want you to know that Ms. Cross and the rest of the art committee did a really good job picking out pieces of art for this community, bringing something to some people who maybe they've never been to a DIA, maybe they've never been to a Toledo Museum of Art. But the interesting thing in the bullying piece of all of this is assuming that because she feels the same way about the art as I do, that she's my friend. And we do a lot of that in life, that you're either you guys or you're with me. You guys are anything that somebody doesn't agree with, you're one of you guys. I've only effectively met Miss Cross 2 to 3 times in my entire life. But because she agrees with me, she's my friend, and she's one of you guys. So before we keep being told that we're bullying, remember that, you know, that old saying that we learn in school, every time you point one finger, you have 4 pointing back at you. And let's try to remember that. You know, and I know that we're upset about the special assessment of Roosevelt. I totally 100% understand why you would be upset to be specially assessed. But unfortunately, before the dawn of time of this village, of all special assessments, that's how it works. My road has been specially assessed. But the piece that's always missing is the piece that people feel that the village of Dundee does not pay for any part of the special assessment, and that is frankly not true. it would cost $800,000. That's the estimate. That's not the total cost. That's the estimate to do the street repairs for Roosevelt. But what that it doesn't show is the actual cost of the sewer would be put onto the village, and that's a $1.2 million project. It's bigger than $800,000. The village would have to, if that resolution gets approved, and it's not on the agenda, and I don't know what agenda that next resolution will be on. It's just not the full picture. And so when we have things like this, I keep hearing Dave say, come into my office, let's talk about it. Come into my office, let's talk about it. Let's just do that. And let's stop accusing everyone on both sides of this table. Thank you.
Brian, you're next.
I just want to address a couple things. My people, just because I served on a committee with somebody doesn't make them my people. My people, if I want to define it, are those that care about Dundee as a village and want to move this forward economically, financially, and create a nice place as far as character for young people. So knowing Ms. Cross, she works at the schools. She stands for all that. So I guess she is my people, but the way it was used, again, not appreciated. The bullying that we talk about, just because I have an opinion that differs from you doesn't mean I'm bullying you. If I have a conversation with you and I say I disagree with you, that's not bullying. That's disagreeing. I don't know where some of this information is coming from. I think we need to figure out how do we get effective, accurate information out. So when we get up and speak, we're speaking accurately. I sit here and I hear accusations. I sit here and I hear misinformation. We sit here and we take it because we're not going to get in an arguing match with anybody here. We've asked you. I've said in an open meeting, I have an open door policy. Come see me anytime. Dave has said it. We've all said it. If you are out there and you aren't asking the questions and getting accurate information, you're uninformed about all the information. So if you want to get up and you want to continue to just carry on like we are, we can do that. But if you want to get accurate information, I say it again, my door is open. If we have a differing opinion, we can respect that. I'm not bullying you. We have a respectful difference of opinion. And I just want to reiterate what Andrea said. The village doesn't have enough money. There's two ways roads get funded. Special assessments, or everybody's taxes get raised dramatically, and the village of Dundee then takes care of all the roads, building the roads, refinishing the roads, everything. The decision was made years before us on this council that we were going to go the special assessment route. If the people of Dundee and the village wants us to relook at it, then you got to bring that to us, but that means everybody's taxes are going up dramatically. Special assessment has been established, and it was established way before we were here, and it was set up in order to maintain the roads in an orderly way without jacking everybody's taxes through the roof. Thank you.
Elena?
All right. I just want to express my gratitude to all the members of the boards and commissions. I greatly appreciate the time, effort, devotion that you guys put into the betterment of this community. It's great to see a lot of you here today, and it was nice hearing from a lot of you tonight, too. So thank you.
Jordan?
Nothing today. Thank you.
You sure?
I am 100% positive.
Okay. Danny?
Yes, kudos to all my council members, especially for Brian and Andrea for speaking up and speaking their minds. It's time. Enough is enough. Thank you.
Michael?
There's so much that can be said, but I'm just going to keep it short, as we have to start treating each other with more respect on both sides of the table. I have opened my doors to anybody. I have always been open. I've only been out here for 4 years. I have been threatened. I have been laughed at. I've been whatever, and it doesn't bother me one bit. I'll take it with a grain of salt. I'll let it roll off my back. I'll still come in here. I'll do the best job I can for you. I'll still go to every class that I can to better my knowledge, to make better informed decisions for you. I said that from day one, and I have. I've gone down to SEMCOG. I've gone to grant meetings. I've done everything that I possibly can to try to make an informed decision. And yes, we're not always going to make the best decision because maybe we're not always informed as we think we are. But we are making the decisions up here in the betterment that we're going to be better tomorrow than we are today. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Good job. Well, a shout out to Officer Jepson for being Officer of the Year. And when I vote no on some things, I vote no for fiscal responsibility. I have an open door policy too. You see me walking all around town, just stop and talk to me. I'm always willing to talk with any one of you. And I'm always around town to see everything that goes on. And to Mr. Scott, I'm a part-time rec. I'm going fiscal responsibility. I'm 100% behind Parks and Recreation, and you guys do an excellent job, believe me. But I don't think we can afford $20,000 for a part-time recreation director. That's just my opinion. But I'm all for the Parks and Rec, and I thank you, everybody that attended tonight. Thank you. Very peaceful meeting. Sorry it took so long. And hearing or seeing no more, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Good job, Michael.
Good job.
Because of the same
bullies.
response.
I mean, that's the bottom line. They're bullies. Well, they got a bully leader, so it's very simple. Michael, take care.
All right,